there's a big gap between being eligible for Medicaid and being able to afford a nursing home. I mean, we're talking about middle-class America. How many people do you know that have an extra $9,000 a month or $10,000 a month of expendable income? Probably 1% of the Ozarks have that much extra, maybe, if you tapped all your savings and stuff, I get people every day call, I have no idea what to do. What do I do? If something happened to mom and dad, what's our game plan?
Welcome to In Good Company, Eldercare in Your Backyard, the podcast that brings local perspective on aging, caregiving, and healthcare right to your ears. I'm John Ray.
And I'm Spencer Ernst. Every week we talk with the people on the front lines, all making elder care accessible to you. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
So Mark Applegate was meandering along in his IT career when in 2009, his mom was diagnosed with dementia, the third in his family to face the disease. Determined to make a difference, Mark left the sidelines and committed himself to both advocacy and hands-on support. He now serves as Dementia Care Specialist at the SeniorAge Area Agency of Aging. He chairs the Walk to End Alzheimer's in Springfield, Missouri, facilitates 14 caregiver support groups, and has participated in over 80 clinical research trials. Wow, that is quite the background, Mark.
The clinical trials, I think I've had so many clinical trials now that the PET scans, I glow in the dark a little bit.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like a little nightlight.
That is awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of that background and just how you got to where you are today.
Sure. Well, like I said in the bio, I was in IT. My grandmother had Alzheimer's disease back in it would be in the late 90s and early 2000s. I didn't learn that much about it, though, at the time, and I kind of ended up regretting it. I did not visit her as much as I could have. I didn't take the time to learn. I did kind of follow the path a lot of people do and think, I don't remember Grandma exactly like she was. I don't want to cope with this. And then looking back on it, I felt a lot of regret from that. So in 2009, when my mom she was diagnosed, she was having an issue with depression. She just blatantly, she said she had to get some meds for that. And they did a thorough diagnostic on her and said, oh, by the way, you also have a mild form of dementia. We're like, Mom, she's 65, that's an old person disease. And she's normal, kind of normal. She doesn't repeat herself. She doesn't get lost at Walmart or anything like that, so we didn't really get that. Didn't take long at all. A few years down the road from there, we got it pretty quick. So we got it figured out. Yeah. My uncle on the same side of the family also got the disease too. So there's three by that side of the family. So it's became now a 20-plus year journey of various caregiving angles. I can tell you that serving the one that that has a disease like this and doing it your best you can feels a lot better when it's over than not doing it. I don't mean to make anyone feel guilty, but it seems like the easier path is to not visit. But you're going to pay now or you're going to pay later, and that's how it worked out with me. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Total sense.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like I'm starting to see the beginning path of the direction you're going, but what led you to Eldercare and dementia support?
Yeah. So I've been in IT for a long time. I've been in schools and had an opportunity to switch and work for SeniorAge. It was before mom had been diagnosed, but she really wasn't showing any symptoms. So I thought, well, it might be good as time went on, maybe to learn more about serving seniors and stuff, and really didn't know that much about SeniorAge at the time. Just knew there was an opportunity. I saw it online, dove in head first with it. And because I've always kind of thought of myself a little bit as being vicariously a senior anyway. Now I'm almost chronologically a senior. I'm 54, but even when I was in my 30s or 20s, I was kind of associated better with seniors, I think, maybe. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I got where I am now. And then as time went on, when Mom started showing signs, all the experience I had at SeniorAge with employees that went through the same journey and just hearing all the stories, it already prepared me a little bit, but until Mom got it. And then that's when it really jumped in. I really had to dive in head first at that point.
Wow. What keeps you passionate about your work today?
Well, my mom's legacy is part of it. My mom was a wonderful lady. She was, like I said, only 65 when she developed dementia. She was an advocate type. She fought City Hall. I remember one time when I was a kid about how they were taking care of stray pets they found. She was an advocate for the little guy. She helped people, various people with disabilities in their homes, all sorts of times in her life. She was just always, that's the way I think of it. She was always backed the little guy. So kind of almost felt like it was passed on to me a little bit. And then when she developed dementia, she told me, hey, don't worry if you have to put me in a nursing home. Just come visit me, I'll do fine there and stuff, And it really made it a natural transition. Neat. That's a rare one.
It is rare.
All the support groups I have, for every one of those stories, I have 20 stories saying, if you ever put me in a nursing home, I'm going to escape or I'm going to fight you or whatever, or sue you. And
So can you tell us a little bit more about your role at SeniorAge?
Yep. So I have three hats I wear primarily. I'm the IT director still. We use managed service providers for most of our repairs. Been in IT for 20 years, so might as well keep doing that. I'm director of safety and security, which what that really means is I'm the disaster representative for the county, actually for 17 counties. If there's a disaster in our counties, I connect the employees with the resources to give out to the people so they know who to go to and all that. I'm in the Greene County COAD, which is what they call the Community Organization Active in Disasters. We, when there's a storm like we had on April 29th, we all meet as a whole bunch of nonprofits and we make it a one-stop shop for people that have something bad happen like a storm or something. And my third job, which is my primary job now, I've eased my way into making it my primary job, is Dementia Care Specialist. Pretty much anybody that comes into SeniorAge that has dementia in their story, they'll get help from everybody in a lot of topics and finances and navigating government programs, this is and that's, and then they will get them to me usually to help with behaviors and placement and building a care team and getting a care plan and stuff like that. So I've got a large caseload of people, and people call any daylight hours, it seems like, hey, mom's doing this or dad's doing this.
I always think anybody who's in and around any kind of healthcare has this bit of social worker in them.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Speaking of dementia, what are the common misconceptions you think people have about it?
Oh, people think it's an old person disease, which, there is a measure of truth to that. The biggest risk factor for getting dementia is your age. Every 5 years or 10 years after 65, your odds go up until by the time you're 100, your odds are about 50-50. But I know people in the Ozarks right now, one lady that was diagnosed with regular Alzheimer's disease in the late 20s. She's in her mid-30s now in a nursing home. I know another whole family that 6 or 8 of them are all in their 40s. They all have it. I know lots of people in their 40s. So, that's younger than me. I don't think of – so it's got a stigma as being just old people, and they even nickname it Alzheimer's disease and stuff like that. But it just isn't the truth. There's a lot of weird little stigmas in anything to do with senior stuff. Even in hospice there is of things that people don't understand about it. And it's not something we automatically know. It's something we have to learn,
So when someone's developing, what do you think the early signs are? That's
another misconception too. You think, if you got the disease, that means it's going to get bad right off the bat. Well, not necessarily. Mom had it from 2009 till probably 2012 and 13 maybe, which nobody would have known unless she told them. Sadly, seniors can be kind of mean to other seniors. She was walking in the indoor walking trail at one of our local area things here, and she would connect with some of the other people walking, and walking alongside of them. And one group, she said the same thing a second time during the time they were walking. It's like, you just said that, Brenda. Well, you got Alzheimer's, and kind of teased and stuff, and it's like, she didn't bring it up, but yeah, she did have it, There's a lot of things like that. There really is. There's a lot of little bugs, not features, of Alzheimer's disease for sure. No doubt about it. And a lot of misconceptions about it too. There is, again, an old person disease that it goes fast, that it is genetic, that blank causes it. All you got to do to fix your Alzheimer's is stop doing blank or start taking blank. And none of that's true. It's all fake. If someone promises you they're going to cure it, then first thing they do is talk to Bruce Willis or talk to Ted Turner or talk to any number of extremely wealthy people that have not got theirs cured. And they'll tell you too that there's no cure for it.
How do you help families shift their mindset when loved ones are diagnosed?
That's a very good question. They come into the situation with their own kind of baggage. I try to reassure them right off the bat. I try to balance information with empathy. There's a certain number of things you need to know about the disease. You need to have an idea what the progression looks like. Kind of follow along with Teepa Snow and some of the kind of famous caregiver types, where I try to emphasize, hey, it's okay to learn about the disease and to understand the science and understand the progression. But if you dwell on that, you're going to miss opportunities to meet them where they're at. My mom could play the piano until year 11 of her dementia. She couldn't hardly speak, but she could still play the piano almost as good as she did before. If I would have been dwelling on the where she's at, what stage, there's some of these stages are like 7A, B, and C or whatever, and it's like there's no one that you can tell is stage 7A or whatever, because every person's different and every person's Thursday they might be 7A and Friday they might be 4B or whatever that would be. I don't even know what those even are. So just keeping it simple. And I tell them to milk every day for every bit of joy you can. There's always opportunities to connect. If you kind of understand how to communicate with them a little bit, meet them where they're at, love them. When they say something mean or hateful or angry, be quick to blame it on the disease and not on them. If they're saying something mean, but if they're saying something nice, cling to that and enjoy that. That isn't the disease, that's them. So.
That's a lot of really good advice. One other question is that if you had one piece of advice for somebody who's just starting down this path, a caregiver, what would you give them? Yeah.
You need a team. You can't do it yourself. That's the biggest thing probably. The person with Alzheimer's is on a marathon, you're on a sprint as a caregiver. One of the main books of caregiving is called The 36-Hour Day. And it's because you have to figure out a way to be a caregiver for 24 hours a day, do 12 hours of your own thing, sleep, how many caregivers are asleep with one eye open all night, every night, If you don't take care of yourself, it's a cliche as all get out, but it's like the plane thing that you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first if you don't do that, you're going to be getting sick. I've got, of all my support groups, I don't know how many times I've had the caregiver die before the person with Alzheimer's. And I'm not talking about ones that started in their 80s. I'm talking about 60-year-olds getting a heart attack because they're burn the candle both ends, the middle, and all around the edges, and they gotta build a care team. They've got to find a way to vent in a productive way. And they gotta have a care team, that's for sure. And
what is a care team?
It's everybody. It's spiritual help from pastors. It can be hospice, home health. That's a huge thing to me. That was a big thing with me and my mom. She had hospice or palliative care, one form or another, for the last 4 years she was alive, 4 full years. Every 6 months we'd do a renewal, and one time she didn't qualify for renewal. They said she'd plateaued or whatever, and in a week later, they said, if anything changes, call us, and a couple days later she had a little episode of some sort, and they put her right back on it and everything. That's kind of a big part of the care team with me. The hospice part was because I'd pull into the parking lot. I just for not kicks, but just for history, I looked up how many times I visited my mom in the nursing home. She was in the nursing home for 6 years plus some. I think I looked it up like 1,100 or almost 1,200 times.
Wow.
Just once. It's a lot of days too, because there would be days I got to go twice and different things like that, but I didn't go on the weekends sometimes. But almost every single day, how my care team worked in the nursing home is the nursing home was doing the day-to-day care stuff you needed. My hospice / palliative care person was an extra set of eyes, big thing. I get to the parking lot and it's like, okay, is it going to be a good day? Is it going to be a bad day? And if I would have called the nursing home, and they were nice, they're great, they would have said something like, yeah, we checked your mom at 2 p.m. Her blood pressure was 140/75, and she was responsive, and seemed like she was doing okay, But I could do that, and that would be a little bit of information. But if I talked to my hospice person, they only had a caseload of 10% of the building, maybe. I'd say, hey, how's mom today? And they would say something like, yeah, I saw your mom an hour ago. We visited a little bit. She was pretty stressed today, but she didn't ask to go. She didn't ask to whatever. She wanted to play the piano a little bit. So I'm sitting in the parking lot of the nursing home trying to, even on day 1,000, steel myself, okay, this is going to be okay. Because you never get used to it. People that say, oh, yeah, I get used to going to nursing home all the time. No, you don't. I never got used to going there. I always knew something might be different that day. I might get there and she might be any number of things, but I could run it by my hospice person or my palliative care person, and they at least let me be semi-prepared. And that was a huge part of my care team. There's other parts of the care team too. If you're a home health person, their role in the care piece of it, did stuff like they helped us with grab bars in the bathroom. They arranged the home health person for us at the time. It's been a few years ago. They would call on my stepdad, just checking on him and stuff. They have a thing called phone reassurance where they have thousands of people they call on, just saying, hey, everything going okay? Any needs you have that aren't getting met that you're needing help with and stuff, If you try to do it yourself, you might be able to do it yourself, but you might also get sick. And if you're doing it yourself and you get sick, then who's going to care for them?
Right.
Then your challenges get a lot bigger. So
yeah. So it sounds like you've got to do a lot of preparing ahead of time. When you get kind of a heads up on this, there's a lot of things you need to start putting in place way before you actually need them.
Yeah, I had no idea how important things like elder law. Elder law is a good example. Oh, goodness sakes. We did a good job on that one. On my mom, we was able to get on her Medicaid, which is the big thing that covers nursing homes and stuff like that. If you don't have that, then you pay $9,000-$10,000 a month for that. But yeah, this is a little bit of a tangent, but elder law, critical. I'll share a story, but it's not. I'll leave it very anonymous. Person in the Ozarks here, let's say, got 3 family members, 2 brothers and a sister. Two brothers and a sister. Okay, the sister lives here in the Ozarks with a mom, taking care of her. She's running broke, trying to keep all the plates spinning, trying to take care of her. The brother, way up in the northeast part of the country, one of the New England states, calls and says, "Hey, why not bring mom out to me? I worked at a nursing home for a long time. I can take care of her." Sister here's like, "Oh, sweet. My savior, so to speak." She said, "I got to save up some money so I can drive there because you can't drive 27 hours straight with a person with dementia. You drive it in 2-hour blocks and you stop, and you 4-hour blocks, any number of things." So she saves up her money, and a few weeks later, she starts the journey. She drives all the way to the northeast part of the country. Gets there, drops her off, here's her luggage, gives big hugs. "Thank you so much. If you need anything, call me. I'll tell you things, whatever." Okay, so she heads back to the Ozarks. She gets to about Kentucky or Tennessee, so she's getting pretty close now. She's 3/4 the way back, and he calls already and says, "Okay, I said I worked in a nursing home. That's true. I did work in a nursing home, but I never worked with someone with dementia before. This is not what I signed up for. I have no clue what I'm doing. You need to come back and get her." Okay.
Oh boy.
The story gets worse. She's like, "I don't have the money. I don't know what to do." Call family member number 3, who's a wealthy person, but he's kind of a absentee sibling as far as taking care of mom and dad. So they call brother number 3, and he says, "Okay, I'll fly her home. We'll take care of that. No problem. I'll fly her home." He flies her to Dallas Airport as a layover. The dude shows up with the limousine driver with the outfit with a sign that says Mrs. Jones on the to pick her up off the plane, and Mrs. Jones didn't show up, and isn't Mrs. Jones, but just whatever her name is, she isn't there. That's because they changed the gates 46 times like they always do, and she's 76 gates to the north. No one there knew there was a person with dementia there, so she's wandering around the building.
Oh my goodness.
We have tens of thousands of people and maybe hundreds of thousands of people at any given time at Big D Airport. They finally find her there many hours later, dehydrated, her blood sugar's messed up, all sorts of things.
No.
It's all good. We could take her to the hospital. They took her to the hospital. Okay, it gets worse. To go to the hospital, and the brother's like, "Okay, I'll take care of it, no problem. Telling other siblings we're going to work it out." She stays overnight. The next morning they call and say, "Okay, we got her blood sugar all lined up. It's all good. You can come pick her up at 4:00 today. Just make sure you bring your power of attorney." And he says, "Power of attorney? What? I don't have power of attorney." He calls the brother on the East Coast. "Power of attorney? I thought you had a power of attorney." "No, I don't have power of attorney." Calls the one here in the Ozarks. "Power of attorney? Do we need a power of attorney?"
Oh, no.
Some hospitals will go ahead and release someone just because they seem like they know what they're doing, but they shouldn't, because they'd get their rear end sued off if it's some sort of a predator or something like that. They're like, "We can't release her to you. And she's too far into the disease to easily get a power of attorney." She was, and especially after that, because it's traumatizing. She was still struggling with her blood sugar still, and she was good enough to go home, to travel maybe. That was questionable. No power of attorney for anybody. They're not going to release her. End of the story is not really over yet, but she's been living in the hospital now for about 6 weeks. They have a room set up for her in the oncology ward and the cancer ward, because that's the only room they had available. Just waiting on the emergency guardianship court procedure to go through, because everyone that doesn't have this all lined up ends up having to go through this horrendously expensive pain in the butt court procedure. And as far as I know, she's still living at the hospital, waiting to be able to come back here. So if you didn't know about elder law, I know it's a long story for one little thing, but if you don't know about elder law, that's kind of part of your care team in a way, because you got to have that stuff worked out too. I know it's a long roundabout story, but it's pretty.
But it's a powerful story because I don't think when people get in the middle of those things, and that's what we see a lot, is that people wind up in these situations and nobody told them that they needed to.
I've got a HIPAA form. My doctor talks to her. Well, the HIPAA form isn't the same thing as being able to make a decision for them to be released to them and promise that they're going to be paid and stuff like that,
Anything else that it's something you'd have to do kind of in advance that you feel like, well, or not have to, but you think would be a better idea to try to prepare for before the disease progresses?
Oh boy, building a care team is important. Elder law is important. Understanding what hospice actually does is important. Preparing yourself for it is important. Anybody that, I hate to use this word so people don't get too confused by it, but anyone that has a history in their family maybe, or maybe has had cardiovascular disease in their life, any number of things that they might have it, at very least learn about the disease. The Alzheimer Association, which is a real good partner with SeniorAge, they have all sorts of information, trainings, and educational events. I volunteer a gajillion different ways with the Alzheimer Association doing these educational events. We all kind of need to know a little bit about it, at least have a game plan. Plus, when you're talking about $10,000 a month in cost too, you need to have a financial game plan for it too.
When you're talking about financial, you mentioned Medicaid earlier, and I know there's lots of changes coming down the pike with Medicaid. I don't know if SeniorAge is having any conversations about some of the cuts that they're concerned about. Are there any discussions around that?
Oh yeah, there's definitely discussions about it, weeping and gnashing of teeth at times and stuff, because it's interesting because the Medicaid covers nursing homes, but dropping out of being able to get Medicaid, just a little bit more than that, there's a big gap between being eligible for Medicaid and being able to afford a nursing home. We're talking about middle-class America. How many people do you know that yourself that have an extra $9,000 a month or $10,000 a month of expendable income? No. Very few. There's probably 1% of the Ozarks have that much extra, maybe, if you tapped all your savings and stuff, It is a crucial part of the safety net. Hopefully they focus it on the less vulnerable and work their way to the more vulnerable, because people with Alzheimer's are top of the list in vulnerability. I get people every day call in my, as being in support. I have no idea what to do. What do I do? I got one the other day. Mom is mad, throwing fists at me, and she's pooping everywhere, all over the house because she's mad. Are you ready for that one? We need to at least be thinking about, if something happened to mom and dad, what's our game plan? You can't wait till they have it. And you could keep it general like that. What, in your 40s, or, like me, I'm 54. My parents now are in their, mom's passed away now. My dad's is 84. We need to have a lot more conversations in our 30s, being more prepared for it. Alzheimer's Association is a good place to start. They've got a good website. They got lots of information. You need to learn about the disease. That's really important. So I before I started having support groups, I started going to support groups. I've been part of 2 or 3 of them for a long time, just periodically, just to learn. That's the secret sauce of a support group, is that you get a big enough group that someone can say, hey, have you ever had this happen? And 3 people say, yeah, this is what happened to me, and this is what I did. And another one will say, oh, yeah, I tried that and it didn't work. So it gives you ways to bounce ideas off each other. But when you're overwhelmed, sometimes you just have to stop, take a deep breath, and think it through a little bit. Like I said back at the beginning, dementia, generally speaking, is a marathon where the caregiving is a sprint. So aside from people that have early onset where it can be faster sometimes, or certain forms of dementia that can be faster, a lot of people are looking at several to many years, depending on how fast they get diagnosed. So take a deep breath, gather yourself, gather a team, talk to SeniorAge too, talk to me. They'll forward you to me. Get a game plan for the finances. Someone like a financial advisor would be very, very critical. I know we have lots of relationships in the financial advisory world too. Several of them are big, important members of the Alzheimer's community too. It's not a death sentence. You need to get over that initial shock. You need to realize that every day there's an opportunity for connection. I could connect with my mom really until the last week she was alive. I could connect with her. When I walk in the room, if she saw me, she would know I was somebody that she knew, or that someone she was on her side or her team or her tribe or whatever. There was times I was her son, Later on, as she developed, I became her husband for a little while, which is a little awkward. Later on, I became more her father. It's like her tape was rewinding in her head. But all those times, I was someone that she trusted, and that you just can't get wrapped up on the role or the name. Just look at the face. If they light up and they're happy to see you, that's a good thing.
Just kind of going back to some of the kind of more practical side of it, I'm sure there are folks at home that have a family member with dementia at home. They're taking care of them in their home right now, and they're really kind of trying to figure out, where is the line between I need to move on to the next level of care, and what would the next level of care look like?
It depends on how much money you have, too. There's a financial piece of it for sure. Generally, getting some extra help just coming in, a home health type situation's good. Calling a SeniorAge to have the home kind of helped with a little bit, or there's several different similar nonprofits that do other things to do with the home to get it more ready and everything.
Can you give me some quick examples of what that is?
Like putting grab bars in the bathroom, maybe home security, stuff like that.
Home security, okay.
Yeah, because I forget what the percentage is. Somewhere around, I think it's about 6 in 10 people with Alzheimer's wander away at some point, whether we wander away from their house or whether they get lost in Walmart or any number of things. So you got to have a security thought in mind. I know 2 different people, and one of them is really close to us in Ozarks here, and one of them's a little further in the state, that both lost their moms to wandering away.
Oh, goodness.
One of them was a runner for her whole life, and so she was very good shape physically before she had dementia. And she wandered away and ended up so deep into Mark Twain Forest that it took weeks to find her with dental records. I mean, we're talking about the real potential of having them wander away is something you got to treat security real. We all see the silver advisories; those aren't an anomaly. Not everyone that wanders away gets a silver advisory for them either. So, but we see them almost every day. So yeah, it's real common. So you got to have a game plan for that.
Are there levels between like a skilled nursing facility or a nursing home? Are there levels in between there besides having somebody come and paying somebody to come and stay at the home?
There is. What's kind of weird about our system, I mean, you can pay to have someone come in the home. There's the independent living that's got, like some places in Springfield or in the Ozarks anyway, have independent living, but you have a nurse that lives on site that you can pay a la carte. Then it goes to more like an assisted living situation where you have maybe a nurse that comes in just to check your meds, and if they fell or whatever, you have a button you can press in the room. Regular quote unquote nursing home, and then skilled nursing or memory units are pretty much the same as a regular nursing home, except they have a lockdown unit where they can't wander away. The cruddy thing about it is Medicaid covers the most expensive of those things. It doesn't cover the less expensive of those things. Why in the world that would be? It's like, we're not going to give you a dime until you get to where you're so desperate that we're going to pay the most expensive thing. But if they gave them the money to cover the assisted living, way less expensive,
right?
Then they'd probably be able to be in that a lot longer. But what you end up with is people in nursing homes that don't belong in a nursing home. They go there because they can get it covered. So, yeah, it's kind of a weird divide in our culture.
Can I ask SeniorAge, where does it get its funding?
So SeniorAge, we have a multi-legged stool. We have some federal funding through the Older Americans Act, some state funding. We're a true nonprofit, just like anyone is, like Red Cross or anything like that. So it's kind of a conglomeration of things. So the recent budget cuts have kind of hit us several different ways. We have had the federal government, some of that money is a little bit precarious. State money, so that money, because it goes through the federal a lot of times. Some of those kind of secondary income streams we set up intentionally to make our income more diverse in case something bad happened to the economy. A lot of those got cut. So it's an interesting financial dynamic that all the area agencies in the country have. Every county's got an area agency on aging. We cover 17 counties of SeniorAge, the southern part of Missouri mainly. But if you're not in our area, you're in someone else's area agency on aging.
When did they think a lot of the major cuts are coming?
That's the $64,000 question. I don't know. And we'll see how tolerant the politicians are. I don't know. It could happen next year or two. Usually big cuts don't happen closer to presidential elections. Cuts usually happen right after an election, not right before a new one. So, but when you have a lame duck president that's leaving, sometimes they're not as concerned about anything other than maybe legacy or something. So since there won't be another Trump term, then we don't know what. I mean, he could very well cut all the way to the last minute. Who knows? It depends on what his ambition is for how the economy is going to look. Kind of. We have a neat program that a couple of them come to mind. We have a text alert system, which is kind of cool. I started a long time ago, actually 5 or 6 years ago. Free everything we do is free, or a few things are donation based. But storm comes, and like we send out text alerts saying this is where the resources are going to be. We don't send out tornado warnings. That would be like your KY3 weather app or something would be. But we after it happens, we say, okay, your benefits locations are going to be at blank church, or clothing drop-offs, or your volunteer opportunities, or whatever. If a senior center has an issue with fraud, someone comes in and tries to sell a bunch of senior stuff in the parking lot or something, we send a text alert out saying, hey, there's fraudsters trying to get people to do this and that. We have a good relationship with KY3 in that the different fraud alerts they use, we do kind of some of the same things, and we overlap each other sometimes. Another one is, it's utilized well, but I could see it having another zero added to the number of people that do it. It's called phone reassurance, is what we call it. It may have other names for other areas, but we call on thousands of people every week or a couple times a week saying, hey, how's everything going? All your needs being met? Everything's going smooth? Anything bad happen? Or, but also, that's what we start with, but then we get into, hey, tell me about everything. How's everything going? And a lot of times you'll have the same person for years and years. So, how's Uncle Joe doing? Tell me about, and oh yeah, Uncle Joe's got a callus on his foot, and they're working on, and all. They just basically connect with them because isolation, sometimes we're the only people that people talk to at all. I mean, they might have a mild case of dementia at their house. Our person is the only person they've talked to them all week, Sometimes we're the only person that would notice if they fell. If we're delivering home delivered meals or something like that, it's a messed up world that there's so many people that are isolated. And isolation, if you're not aware, big study about, it's been within 10 years ago, social isolation for people with any age, but as we age especially, is the physical equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Wow. Wow. I didn't know that.
Physically, it isn't just psychologically, it physically hurts you because your body just does not react well to the stress and the sorrow of being alone. We're created as social animals, and we don't deal with it without. So and I think we learned a little bit about that through COVID because we all had the isolation of ourselves and stuff. And even people that haven't been isolated before now are stuck in the family with just their family or just themselves, and like, oh, this really stinks, Well, think about if someone that's been that way for 5 years and haven't had anyone to talk to other than maybe the mailman or the SeniorAge person that calls on them.
So true. Gosh, that's a great point. As I understand it, you have a blog. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, digitalcornbread.com. When my mom was first getting close to being placed, we had to place her because it became unsafe. She lived near a major highway, and we couldn't build a big enough care team to keep her safe from wandering away, and with various things. That's a longer story, but pretty much day one, but also for the lead up period of putting her in a nursing home, I started just writing on Facebook to start with, and every post ended up being so long. I thought they need to capture these things because it's not venting; it's actually productive conversation. So I started just logging them. I started did a WordPress, and now I blogged almost every day for the first 4 or 5 years, and then I slowed down a little bit. Right now I only do maybe once a week because she's been passed away now for a year now. Digital Cornbread, digital. If you know what digital means, ones and zeros. Everything that your CD, compact digital disc, is all made up of a whole bunch of ones and zeros, like little on-off switches. So it's a very, very complex thing, but it's made kind of simple on-off switches. So I try to make all these really complex things simple to understand on my blog. Corn is I got a corny sense of humor. I may not seem in it here, but I really do. You'll see it in the blog because me and Mom joked a lot and stuff, and even in nursing we joked all the time. And bread, it's a Christian blog too. It's not overtly Christian, but I start off with a Bible verse usually that relates, and I talk about how my faith affects it. But it's not primarily a Christian blog, but I consider it to be a Christian blog too. So digital cornbread.
We'll list it in the show notes then for sure and get it in there.
One thing I liked about it is I've posted videos of Mom, and she's always cool with it. She's like, make lemonade out of the lemons here. Help someone else with what happens. She was cool with that. So I have videos of her playing the piano in the nursing home, lots of them. I've got, I think I've written close to 1,000 articles in there. And it's got a search box you can search. And sometimes I would do a little bit of a stretch, 10 things you can learn about Alzheimer's from Star Wars or something like that. Just filler. It seems like filler, but it actually fits in pretty good sometimes,
That's awesome.
I told a lot of stories and stuff too. And I think that resonates real well with people, where they can see where she was, see the good, but the bad, but they also see the good. Because again, like I said way back at the beginning, if you're not careful, you'll dwell on the bad the whole time and just get despondent with it. Yeah. And I had all sorts of fun with Mom. Even as things got worse, we found ways. Toward the last couple of years, the ways I would connect with her, when she ceased to be able to play the piano anymore, I'd bring my phone in. I'd play the old hymns on my phone, usually with either the Gaithers or Alan Jackson singing the hymns, because she always liked a man's voice singing them. I don't know, maybe she could also hear it better. I don't know why she always liked those specifically, but as things got worse for her, she had what they call Parkinsonism. Her arms would stiffen up kind of, and she would squeeze her hands. And that's a fairly common experience. Nothing's completely common, but it's a pretty common experience. So they'd put wash rags in her hands, and so she'd squeeze. If she squeezed, it wouldn't cause her fingernails to poke into her hands. I'd play the old hymns, and maybe 10 minutes into it, her arms started dropping down, and it'd be almost all the way down to her waist. Her body was relaxing listening to the old hymns. So that was connection to me. That was as cool as
that's neat.
Any number of things would be. Yeah.
I don't want to forget to mention Walk to End Alzheimer's.
Critical thing. I can't recommend it enough. I know I'm the walk co-chair or whatever, and I'm a little bit biased, sure, but I can tell you this. The first year we got serious with this mess with Mom, and it was getting a lot worse. About 2017 or 16, I guess it was, somewhere in there. The first thing that overwhelms you is you jump into all the information, and then you go, there's no way I can figure this crap out. There's too much. It's too much. Who can I talk to about it? And for some reason, you suddenly can't find anybody like you in that situation. So you feel very isolated. So we signed up to the Walk to End Alzheimer's. And I'm going to give away some of the secrets to the what it's like there, but it's worth it. You sign up to it, you register online or in person. When you do that, you go to this front area, which has a bunch of the Sigma Kappa sorority ladies that do all the signing people up. And one of the things they do is they give you a pinwheel flower, the whirlybird flowers, and they give you this flower based on why you're there. But yellow is if you're caring for someone with disease. Purple means you've lost someone with disease. Orange means you're just kind of an advocate. You wanted to go away, but you don't really have a specific rationale to be there. They give you these things. The yellow one is what we had, for a long time, and that means you have someone with disease. And it's a Jordan Valley Park. You get this registration way at the beginning of it, and then if you've ever been to Jordan Valley, you go down a little ways, and it's got the big bowl down there of like a big amphitheater, earthen type thing, and you see we had over 1,000 people for sure, between 1,000 and 1,200 people, and you see 800 or 900 yellow flowers just like yours. Yeah. It's like okay, I'm not alone in this deal. It's cool, and it's not the end of the world. And you go connect with some of them. You ask them, hey, how are you doing? And you immediately have a community. It's like going to church, and you go to another church like yours in another country or something, and you immediately find some common interest. You immediately find common interest with these people. You immediately have something to talk about. Usually Ethan Foretz is our MC if he can. If he can't, because he gets deployed sometimes with Convoy of Hope. We have Brad Eldridge, who's also amazing. He's the one that was the general manager of the Ozark Mountain Ducks here in town when we had that. He has a great program at Turner's Rock. One of those two are going to be our MC every year. Do a great job, but the little secret at the end of it is they'll have a person representing each of these flowers. They'll introduce them. Hey, this is Mr. Jones. His wife has had the disease for the yellow flower. She has had the disease for 9 years. They'll say a few things about him. He'll have a little quick bio. And everyone that has the yellow flower, raise your hand, with your flower. You see all these flowers going to win. It's an amazing emotional event. But then they usually bring out a little girl out, usually, or a little boy, usually 7 years old or younger, sometimes 3 or 4 years old, and they're holding a white flower. And no one's got a white flag. What's this all about? And they said, this is the first person to survive the disease. And that's what he represents. It's just so emotional and so strong.
Wow.
And then we
That
immediately
jokes me up a bit.
I know, me too. I've seen him 9 times or 10 different. I went to 4 different walks last year. I went to St. Louis to see what it's like, and to Cape Girardeau, and every time same thing. Just it's overwhelming how strong that is. And then but the whole event though isn't sad like that. The whole event is all happy, where it's upbeat. We play upbeat music. We have an MC that plays. We do Zumba and stuff before, and also this fun stuff. And as we walk, it's kind of celebratory, but that part is a little bit more somber. But it's we're getting there. We're getting closer to a cure. So
Connect at the walk.
Connect to the walk. I can't recommend enough. Yeah, definitely put in the show notes when that is. It's 27th. It's coming up in 27th of September. You can register online at alz.org. Or you can just call. You can put the information in the show notes if you want to, how to log into it. It's free, of course. If you want to do the walk part, there's 2 different routes. One of them's about a mile, one of them's about a half mile. But if you just want to go for just the ceremony, that's fine too. You don't have to walk it. It's downtown. Not a ton of people you're seeing anyway. But it's just the rubbing shoulders with all the other people that's the important part.
Well, we're putting the teams together here, and I've got to dress up like a banana and serve banana splits if they hit their target. So,
that is awesome. I want to see that for sure. Make sure and post that in the show notes.
We sure will. Mark, what gives you hope about where elder care, especially dementia support, is headed?
Oh, people are starting to learn more. Sadly, because of experience, because more and more people are hearing about it because they're getting it or the family members getting it. So education has been helping. Funding has been increased. Alzheimer's Association's got more funding than in research, at least, or in that realm than they have in the past. It just feels like some of the stigmas are going away a little bit. It's not perfect yet. We're getting there, but I mean, used to be the only thing you'd see on TV is person with Alzheimer's is the crazy guy that they've locked away or whatever. He's an old guy and he's whatever. And it's not like that anymore. They recognize a lot of shows have really good depictions of what dementia's like. I remember This Is Us had a great piece on it, section on it about Mandy Moore's character. I hate to be a spoiler for people, but spoiler alert. Yeah, spoiler alert. Oops, my bad. But she developed it, and the family gathered around, and they had a care team going and stuff, and one of the brothers said, "Okay, I'm going to send you to Washington University in St. Louis because that's the best place to get research on it." And it's like, oh, sweet, good for Missouri too, and everything, which is true though. WashU is great for it. I'm encouraged. Another reason I'm encouraged is we have 2 drugs now that can modify the disease. We never had that before. We have a blood test that you can take that you can see the plaques, tangles, for Alzheimer's at least, well in advance of symptoms usually. That's going to be more and more prevalent. We're working on getting that pushed into where it's covered by Medicare. First of all, it's FDA approved, but it's not covered by Medicare quite yet. Once it's covered by Medicare, our next goal is to have that kind of sandwiched in with all of your normal physical you get when you're 50 or 45 or whatever. If they could start catching it way early, the catch with those 2 infusion drugs that are the ones that can modify disease, you have to catch it really early. It's like a stroke. If you have a stroke, if you catch it really early, you can stop your brain from losing a bunch. But if you have a stroke and you stay in that state all night or until the next day, and then you say, I better go to this hospital, you've waited too long. So the earlier detection, the faster you can get help. So I'm optimistic about it. We're not there for a cure yet, but I think every day we get closer. Lots of stage 2, stage 3 trials. It does make me nervous that NIH is getting cut. Very nervous because again, I've like the bio said, I've been in 80 or 90. I haven't added them up lately. Clinical studies, and some of those are longitudinal studies where I go every year, every 2 years. And if they get 8 or 10 years on me, and then they cut the program for 2 or 3 years, and then another administration picks back up, they got a huge gap in the middle of it. Yeah. Or if I die, and they've missed a big gap, it pretty much renders it worthless. So that does worry me a little bit. But I've talked to the research hospitals, all 4 of them that I work with, KU, WashU, Vanderbilt, and Emory. And all 4 of them are optimistic for this year, but they're worried about next year's fiscal year.
Yeah.
So they're planning for the worst and hoping for the best at this point. So I'm optimistic about where we're getting. I am.
Well, Mark, thank you so much. You've been just a huge asset to the community. I mean, I can tell your passion for this is just really
I've got another hour. I got make this the longest podcast ever.
But there's people out there right now that are kind of getting at the beginning stages of this, or maybe they're well into it and they're just really struggling, and they just need to hear that there's help out there and what to look for and that sort of thing. And so, I really admire your work. I think, you're in the right place for sure. Whatever you start out with, it led you to the right place. And I'm really grateful that it did.
Oh, I appreciate it. I'm trying to make lemonade of Brussels sprouts or something. It's not even as good as a lemon, the material we have isn't even very good, but we're getting there. I feel really good about where things are going. I'm hoping one of these days this is a moot point. We just have something else to worry about.
I hope you'll let us have you back on the show as things progress. Medicaid changes. New changes around healthcare and dementia and support and that sort of thing. We want to keep this top of mind for everyone because so many people suffer with this, families and people as well.
Oh, yeah, I'd love that. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
How does someone get a hold of SeniorAge if they want some help?
You can go in person. We're at Fort and Sunshine, 1735 South Fort. Phone number is 417-862-0762. My desk phone, I give my cell phone out. Desk phone number is 417-868-9501. My cell is 417-955-2513. My wife is used to me getting weird calls at midnight sometimes. I would recommend if it's after hours, and if I don't answer, the best way to do it anyway is to call the 1-800 number for Alzheimer Association. It's 1-800-272-3900. It's 24/7 and it's staffed by clinician level folks that are experienced. So it's not a call center where you're going to get someone trying to flip through their notes, trying to figure out what the correct answer might be. There are people that do it for a living. So it's a very helpful tool.
And don't forget to check out digitalcornbread.com.
Digitalcornbread.com. Yep, absolutely.
Mark, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow, Spencer, that was amazing with Mark, wasn't it?
He has so much information. He can go for hours. So knowledgeable.
And his personal stories were just really, I got a little choked up. I'm telling you, it was amazing.
From IT to that, it's just incredible, his journey.
And he's got such practical advice for people. You can tell he's walked this himself. And so he's just a great resource for people because it can be so stressful. And I think this stuff sneaks up on people so much. And some of them suspect that, like caregivers, they suspect that there's something there. And folks who are early in the stages of dementia can hide it quite well. They're very, very good at covering themselves. And sometimes that I love that he brought up that, people can rally, so if you have family coming in town and those people, they're excited to see them. And so their adrenaline's going and their mental capacity rallies. And those people who come in town see a different side to them that the caregiver's like, wait, no, they still have issues. And the person who's come to visit goes, no, they look fine to me, and then he brought that to the surface, and then just talking about making sure that you get plugged into, someone, a group, a support group. So, people have walked this before, and the earlier you get plugged into that and get some information, the earlier you can make changes to your environment and, prepare for what comes next. And while that person still has some, of their mental faculties, you can get some things put in place that will make things much easier once those things progress.
Absolutely. And just a reminder for everyone out there, September 27th, Saturday, September 27th is the Walk to End Alzheimer's in Springfield, Missouri. That's taking place at Jordan Valley Park, and registration is at 8:30 in the morning. If you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
And we'd love to stay connected. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and on Instagram at In Good Company Eldercare Podcast.
You can also find us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at IGC Pod, and on TikTok at IGC Eldercare Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to In Good Company, Eldercare in Your Backyard. I'm John Ray, and I've been joined by my amazing co-host, Spencer Ernst. Special thanks to our executive producer, Alex Wallace, for helping bring this show to life. Until next time, take care and remember, you are always in good company.